Hey. Welcome to another episode of Up Close and Personal with Angela. Of course, I am Angela Thomas Smith. I am the founder of AALAC, the African American Author Literacy Awareness Campaign. I am also the CEO of Aspiring Authors Magazine, where my desire is to bridge the gap between Brown authors around the world and to touch on topics that's affecting our Brown community. So, for over the last couple of months, we have been sharing some amazing Brown individuals that are impacting their community in various ways. I'm definitely excited to share with you guys yet another individual that's impacting her community and want to drop some nuggets with you guys on today. So, if you would please take this opportunity to share this in your circle of influence. Please share this while I bring up my amazing guest. Hello. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
How are you?
I'm well and excited to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. I'm always glad to have my brown individuals that are impacting the community and doing amazing things, and that you are had the opportunity to see you in a conference with Dr. Carolyn Stevens, and she extended you guys to me. So I definitely wanted to share you guys with those that support my platform, because you guys are doing some amazing things and I applaud you for what you're doing. If you would please introduce yourself and share with those that are tuned in just a little bit about you.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Jeniece Drake. I am the CEO of New Wave Travel. So, what we do two things. We help, of course, help people travel the world, right? We don't call it booking travel, but we call it we provide curated, unique experiences and memories for individuals that come and hire us to help them either with their business travel, family travel, you name it, we can do it. But it's really just about helping you, build new memories, experience the world. And for me, travel is about unity and enriching people's lives. So we don't have a point and click type of mentality at New Wave Travel. When you come and book with us, we treat you like family. Travel can be daunting, especially in this particular season. So we want people to feel safe when they're venturing out. We want people to be educated, understand what they're going to do. But most importantly, we want people to come back with experiences that help them understand humanity on a whole new level. One of the other things that we're doing is I have started a host agency arm. And I did this because I'm also known as the MLM Slayer, because in the travel industry, a lot of people have been expressing a desire to start a career in travel, but they don't really know where to start. And a lot of times they get sucked into the dreams of grandeur. They show a lot of the positive sides of travel, and most people who get their start get it through multi-level marketing companies. And I don't agree with a lot of multi-level marketing companies and their tactics, because they tend to prey on people who are tired of living paycheck to paycheck. But the thing is, if you're tight on cash and you're living paycheck to paycheck and you really have a desire to get into the travel industry, most of these MLMs are really just trying to get you in for the little bit of money that you have. You're likely trying to start this business or go into business, and you're putting in this money, and it's usually the last that you have. It's your last hope, and you're trying to build something, and you're trying to build something that you have a passion for. What they do is they tend to take people's money, and it's really just going to, uplines and all the way up to the CEO. They're living off of your dime, but they're really not teaching you anything about the travel industry. They're not teaching you how to grow your business, how to take the reins of it and really understand being in the travel industry. And that's what led me to launch the host agency arm of New Wave Travel, because I was that person when I went to get into the travel industry. Someone who was part of an MLM company, told me this would be the best way, and I didn't know any other way to do it. So I entered in. I was there for a few months before I realized that our values didn't align, and I had to work my way out of that. And now my travel agency holds the highest industry accreditation. We're 6 years old, and now I'm turning around and implementing a program that allows us to basically be for others what I didn't have when I came into the travel industry. And so this means that your money is going to go towards just that, building you starting your career in the travel industry. And when I say that, I mean, I'm going to help you build industry relationships. You're going to get trainings with suppliers. You're going to get trainings from myself. And one of the things, there are other host agency programs, but the biggest thing that sets me apart from others is that I don't count anyone that comes in contact with me as competition. And if you have a dream to own your own business and it's in the travel industry, I am willing to help you do that. And I would be proud to watch you fly and soar in your new business venture. Because for me, it's all about for me, it's business, but it's also ministry. And so if you're called to a certain point or a certain level in industry, I pray to God to be that vehicle for other people. And so when I see you succeed, that counts as success for myself. And other agencies, they don't teach you how to own your own. They basically just want to keep you under thumb. And so that's the difference between me and others when you're coming in. And for me, as well as other people, I think that travel, it really helps people when it comes to disconnecting from the everyday hustle and bustle of life, right? You get to disconnect, you get to relax, but you also get to learn about other cultures when you do it. And, you can even do that in the US. At this point, we all know you can go to another state. In some instances, you can go to another county over. And, you end up interacting with a totally different culture. And when you do these things, you begin to understand just how much more alike we all are, opposed to focusing on the differences. And so when I'm looking at travel, I'm looking at how you having these experiences, you having someone that's going to back you and teach you how it's going to open up for the better in the world. Because for me, I think that the reason why I'm able to empathize with others so well is mainly because as a child, I traveled internationally and I got to interact with different cultures, different people. And I saw that no matter what we did, I could see that we were all the same. And, I know color is a big issue, but I tend to see beyond that. I really just think that we're all children of God. And if we all have the same creator, for me, and I'm not trying to push my beliefs on anyone, but for me, I believe in God, and I believe that him as the creator, we are, in fact, equal. And when we take the time to actually learn the core of what drives the values of a culture, you begin to see just how similar you are. And if we could focus on those things, I believe that there's really no stopping us on what we can do together. And so that's what every initiative I do, every initiative I have, it's about bringing people together, creating community, and everybody flourishing within that community, no matter whether it means I can't go with you. It's not the point. The point is to help people understand who they are and fulfill their purpose under God. And it's beautiful that I'm able to utilize my travel agency as a vehicle to do that. And a little bit more about myself, I also am an author. And I recently released a book in October, which is Wedded Bliss, the 5-year foundation. And I know it sounds, a lot of people are wedded bliss, and most people are probably thinking, oh, well, I really don't want to read about, your happily ever after. But it's more than just a happily ever after story, because while I am happily married, there are many ups and downs to it. And in that book, and really just, I was led to write it because many people prepare for the wedding day, but they don't necessarily prepare for the marriage itself. And so it perpetuates this sense of your spouse or, your partner being disposable in a way, right? Because if they don't fit what you believe marriage to be, your fairy tale, then it's easy to throw it away. But when you actually sit down and put the work in and understand what it is, the questions you need to ask, what are your expectations for this relationship? How are you going to come together to be the helper to help each other fulfill your goal and your passion in life, your calling in life? So, that's what this book is all about. It really forces you to sit down and ask the questions that most people aren't thinking about, as far as how you're going to handle finances. How are you going to handle sex life? And that's a taboo thing, especially in the church. A lot of people don't like to deal with when it comes to sex, especially when you're talking to people who are single. But honestly, I know it's called wedded bliss, but if you're single, buy this book, because that's the time when you really want to start thinking about what marriage looks like and understand what it is. I even share some information because, I had been married before, and I share a little bit of information about that because, the Bible tells us do not awaken love until it so desires. I did not understand that until what I call an illegal entry into the covenant of marriage, because marriage is a covenant. You're coming together, two people coming together, making a promise before God, and you're saying that you're going to be there for each other every step of the way. And every step of the way literally means when I don't like you, I'm still going to be there. And as much as, my husband and I love each other, the reality of it is we're both human. And that's why I wrote this book, because people need to understand grace in marriage, right? We're all human beings. So there's no possible way for your spouse to be perfect at every given time. It's just not going to happen. And this encourages dialogue between you and God. It encourages a dialogue between you and your spouse or soon to be spouse. Because these are some questions or some topics, I should say, that everyone should really consider and think about and get a grasp on, put all the cards down on the table. My husband and I, we did that before we got married. I mean, I let it all out. We talked about debt. We talked about everything, because when it came to coming together, we understood that we weren't just coming together on the outside as a facade. We were literally bringing every part of our worlds together and becoming one before God. And that meant I was going to take on his burdens and he was going to take on mine. He was going to take on my anointings, my successes, and I was going to take on his. And so when you understand just how intertwined two become when they're moving as one flesh, you begin to understand just how important it is to really map out, how you're going to deal with things or problems and issues when they arise. I'll share with you all one of the things, if anything, you take away from this video. If you're in a relationship, and I honestly feel like this works even if whether you're married, dating, or when it comes to business relationships or friendships, personal relationships, but create what I call a safe place or space, a bubble, right? Where you and whoever it is that you are having this particular relationship, whatever level you're on, have a chance to talk about without any repercussions. Because these are those moments where you're going to be able to share what that person does that drives you crazy, and they're going to be able to share with you what you do that drives them crazy. This is the time to really sit down and reflect, right? But you have to come in with a heart that's ready to receive the critique, not criticism, critique, which means it should come from love. Right? We're talking about communicating in love. And so this isn't a session for you to dig into your partner. This isn't a session for you to just, I'm mad and I'm going to blow up and explode. But this is the time after you have taken some consideration, put some genuine thought into what you have to say and any solutions you may have to compromise or come to an understanding on how to move forward in the relationship. These are those moments where you can bring up things that may be troubling you. And when you bring it up, This can be a time you don't have to solve everything right in there, but it takes away that moment where everybody's thinking, well, what are they thinking? Because a lot of times any disagreements that you have in your relationships, if you really think about, it's a monologue. You're really arguing with yourself because you have no clue what the other person is really thinking. You're just trying to, draw off of what you have on the outside, what information you can gather perhaps from behavior, but do you really know the root of what's causing them to behave in that way? And do you even know if the way that they're behaving, do you know that they're doing it purposely? They may not even know what they're doing is affecting you in a negative way. Doing these little exercises also could show it's something that you might be rubbing you the wrong way, but it might not even be anything that they're doing wrong. This could be a time for you to actually reflect on yourself. Why does this bother me so much, right? I call it, our partners are kind of like sandpaper. When you use sandpaper, it's rough, but the finished product is smooth. And so your partner could do things. We read in the Bible in Exodus, right? We know that God, he hardened Pharaoh's heart. He hardened Pharaoh's heart. He was getting a point across. He was going to make sure that everyone knew that he was the living God, right? It is the living God. And so we have to think about, sometimes we have things that happen in our relationships that rub us the wrong way. And it really has nothing to do with the other person, but it's really just God sanding us and smoothing us out and getting rid of those rough edges. So these are moments in those safe bubbles where you can take time to have conversations, really think about what's going on in your relationships, have a talk. And most times, once you have those talks, I'd have to say each time my husband and I do it, we always leave with another level of clarity and understanding of each other and our relationship as a whole, where we're steering the ship. Because these are times where we may have to course correct. And these are times where I might learn that something that I said, hurt him, whether intentional or not, right? And so now I have to think about, well, could I had said that better, or, thought about it or thought it through at some point during the time, right? So these are things that, again, when I had these conversations and when I wrote that book, that was my thought behind it, right? How do I help provoke the thoughts of the people who are saying they want to enter marriage? And I believe that when you sit down and really think about it and enter these moments of preparation, they make for a lasting foundation, hence the reason why I call it the 5-year foundation. There will be another installment of the book, and there will also be a workbook coming in, really just to help you organize your thoughts as you work through the book also. So, and another thing that I'd love to share with you guys. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you okay.
Oh, okay.
I was just going to ask you a question. But you kind of answered it, because I was going to ask, was the book interactive? In the activity that you were describing, are these activities that can be found inside of the book?
Yes. So I have some things that, and that's actually why I said I was going to do the workbook, because I realized that to help people really continue to move forward in it, I wanted to go ahead and add the workbook to it. So I'll actually put the workbook together. I'm going to sell it separate, of course, for those who already bought the book so that they'll be able to get it. But moving forward, they will be sold as a set. And then the next set will come in too, because I realized that it lends itself, especially even for coaches and for counselors, to really sit down and utilize these techniques and help guide people as they prepare for their relationships.
Wow, that's amazing. The 5-year foundation.
Yes. So, and the funny background to that book, and this lends to what it means to really move past your fear, right? I wrote the book back in 2017. And then I sat on that book until 2021. And there was this immense fear, like, if I release this, then what? What happens? What happens if we don't make it? What happens if it was amazing, the thoughts that popped into my head. even though I was, what's going to happen? What types of attacks am I now opening my marriage to, right? And then I had to rise above that fear and think about the fact that it's not about me. It's not about my husband. It's not about, this is something that God placed in my heart because he knew that I would bow to him, that I understood what he was teaching me. And it was a chance to help other people see him in their relationships. And I had to just wipe it out and go, you know what? It's not about me. It's not about us. It's about him. And, I had put a little bit of finishing touches. I went through the book, went through editing, and I finally released it in October of 2021. And when I wrote the book, we were just coming up on our 5th-year anniversary. So it was supposed to be released on our 5th year, because these were all the things that I learned in our 5 years together. And I said, what am I doing? And so we're actually going to be coming up on 10 years in July of 2022. And so now that I finally worked that all out of my head, I'm going to make sure that I bring that next level of revelation and understanding to the kingdom marriage, is what I call it. I call it the kingdom marriage because I truly believe that it's a covenant. It's more than just a piece of paper. It's more than a ring. It's more than just being a label, husband, wife. It wasn't an accomplishment to be called a wife. It was a understanding that I was being brought to a whole nother level spiritually. And with that came an entire ministry in itself because I was willing to say yes. That's literally the difference between me and any other person that's successful or not successful, whatever you're doing. Anything that I accomplish in my life is literally because I was willing to say yes. I was willing to be a beacon to him. I was willing to be a door to be open. So when you walked into me, you're walking into him. And so that's how I view everything that I do. And that I have to move myself out of the way and allow his ministry to flow through in industry.
So, I'm sitting here like I was looking up that 5. So 5, that means God's grace, right? So, 10, I was looking over at the 10 and it was saying, 10 talks about responsibility. And it also mentions the 10 commandments. And you touched on something, how sometimes people don't want to realize, they don't want to recognize that things come up and we can work through them if we're willing to recognize where we fall short. We too busy looking at the errors and where the other person is falling short, that we miss where we're falling short. When if we work on us, then we can work on us together. When we work on us as one. But you said something, when you come together in union, you coming together as one, and there's some things that you need to work on before you decide that this is what I wish I had that. Because I know that I probably would have never got married if I had had some of the know-hows that I have now. um I would have evaluated some things a little more in depth, and I wouldn't have been in such a hurry, because some of us, and I'm just speaking for myself right now, some of us, we, for me, I'm just gonna speak for me. I can't say some of us, but for me, I got married for all of the wrong reasons. I got married for, I didn't want to be that person that everybody kept saying, "Oh, she over there shacking up. She over there doing that. She over there doing that." I wanted to. I guess I wanted to be in line, and didn't want to wait. We oftentimes settle, and instead of being still and allowing him to send us what he's already designed for us. We so we don't got so used to this microwave society to everything just popcorn, and we just want we just want stuff when we want it, and we don't understand. I forget what scripture it is over in John somewhere where his time is not our time, but his time is always on time.
Yeah, that's it.
And I know for me, I know that I wouldn't have got married. I wouldn't have been in such a hurry. But when you're in a dark place and you so lost and you so confused, you just wanting to satisfy the flesh sometime. And I was in that place thinking that if I got married, then I ain't I ain't sinning no more. I'm but yet I was still hadn't. What did I change? Nothing. I was just a married mess. That's all that was. I was a married mess. The same mess I was before I got married, I was that same mess because nothing changed. But you have touched on some amazing things. I was sitting here listening to you talk about your travel agency and those that participate in those MLAs.
Yeah,
Um,
LMs. Yeah.
yes, unfortunately, I have been one of those. Um, did not understand what it was. The person that signed me up was not there like they said they were going to be. They was too busy trying to get other people signed up. So when it was time for me to do stuff that I needed to do, I got lost in the mix and ended up losing my money pretty much so into them. That's what I did. And I'm sure a lot of people do that because
Common. Yeah, it's a common issue because, and one of the things that, all right, you're gonna learn about me. People who take advantage of other people, it irritates my soul. I hate seeing people get taken advantage of, and I watch them use relationship
yes, yes.
about relationship because if they can get you to say yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see the value. I get it. They talk fast, right? It looks good. So you're going, why wouldn't I speak to my family? Why wouldn't I speak to my friends? We all want to create a legacy for our family. But when you really get down to the core, the heart of what they do, and I'm gonna, because a lot of people don't realize this, but if you ever get sat down in front of a presentation, look for the fine print somewhere, anywhere in the usually probably around when they start talking to you about the compensation plans.
Mm-hmm.
When they start telling you how you're going to make the money. Look for the little small fine print somewhere on there. It's going to say results not typical. That is what it's going to say. That is how they get away, because they're going to say, well, we told you, it was documented that it's rare that people make this type of money
Mm-hmm.
in our company. And what people don't realize is, and they usually sell it along the lines of you own your own business, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I own my business, when you own your business, you are the CEO. That
Mm-hmm.
means you have complete control over the compensation, how people are compensated for their time, how to sell to customers. In a multi-level marketing company, where do you have that control?
You don't.
When do you have the title CEO?
You don't.
There's still a CEO in that company, but they usually omit the top because they, in the little graphics that they show, there's you, right? They always put a little thing, a little man or woman there, and it says you.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's about two people under you. Then there's two, three people under them. And they make you feel like, yes, this makes sense. I'm at the top. You're not at the top. Who's the CEO of the company that's at the top? He's making the money.
Mm-hmm.
And
And then you
those
got to think about all those people that's the person that's bringing you in, and then person that brought them in, and the person that brought them in. So it just
most of them
continued.
aren't even making money because it's the
Exactly.
people that the person who founded this company got a group of people at the
Mm-hmm.
ground floor and invited them to the table
Mm-hmm.
and said, if you come in with me on this, we'll make millions.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones making the money.
Mm-hmm.
The ones who were at the beginning, at the top, those ones that are called top earners, they're in boardroom. They're just lending their face and their rings and doing all this flashy stuff, but they don't have anything real. And the ones who come after them who are top earners, ask around, because the minute that a leg falters, they're going to lose that house payment that they earned because there are stipulations attached to it. They're going to lose that car payment. How many of these cars do you really see driving around? If it's that prominent, if these people are really making money, how many of those cars do you see on the street? They get stripped just like everybody. As soon as their title goes down, that everything that came with it goes with it. I've watched people who had top earner status in these companies, and they were in debt. They were just doing this to try to get out of debt. They weren't turning a profit in the company. So what is their goal? Their goal, you are their profit. You're the product. They're essentially leeches in a way. They're siphoning from you, but they could care less how you pay your bills as long as you pay theirs.
Right.
And that's why I said, and that's why they call me the MLM Slayer. I've helped people, and I did this. I started it coming out of the travel industry, but I've helped other people in other industries because I come from a family of business owners, and so I understand business. And I've helped other people who are stuck in these cycles, and I go, well, listen, if you show me what this company does, what this industry is, I can show you how to build your business, how to build your company, and I coach them out. Because it's insane. I truly believe the people who try to stay with the industry, and I hear their story, they have a real passion for this. They were called to this for a reason. They just don't know how to build that foundation and scale up. Right. Until somebody comes along and says, hey, well, you know what? I'm not afraid for people to succeed. That's what it boils down to. Ask yourself, most of the people that are in your circle, I'm going to encourage anybody who's watching this broadcast right now, sit down, think about your circle. Do they encourage growth, or are they afraid of your growth? Catch it, write it down. Do they encourage growth, or are they afraid of your growth? And how are you going to figure that out? If they disperse whenever you're doing something, they don't have a congratulatory bone in their body. They can't bring themselves to share it. And let me tell you something, not everybody's your target audience. You hear me? So them not buying from you does not mean that they do not support you. Understand that. Them not buying from you does not mean that they don't support you. They may not be your target audience. But if they're truly proud of what you're doing, they'll share it with other people. Whether it's on social media, whether they're talking to somebody and they're saying, hey, listen, you know what? Talk to my friend. She does that. They're going to help you reach your target audience because they're truly proud of what you do.
Right.
And so you need to understand, are they fostering growth, or are they running from the hills every time you do something? Are they nitpicking every time and not offering a solution? Because some friends will help you critique, but they're going to offer you a solution. You have to gauge what people are doing around you. And this is going to help you understand either why you're stagnant or what you need to do to grow, how you're going to have to shift that around. I always leave people with this moment, right? Never be the smartest person in the room. It's enticing. It almost gives you a sense of power. But do not make the mistake of being the smartest person in the room. Because then there's no room for you to grow. You're not learning from anybody, because a good leader knows how to learn from others. So if you don't have anybody in your room, in your sphere that you can learn from, get somebody now. You don't know it all. You're not God. So you don't know it all already. You may have mastered the level you're at, but he wasn't done with you. I don't know who that was for, but he ain't done with you. Get somebody else that can take you to the next level and keep going.
I'm saying you touched on two other words that he dropped in my spirit over 2 years ago now. I got a book. Learn, Love, Lead. Here it is right here. Learn, Love, Lead. 121 days of prayer. 138 women. We share affirmations, we share prayer, we share scripture. But like I tell people, you never get to a point to where you can never be teachable. And when you get to that point, your eyes better be shut, because we're forever evolving. This world is forever evolving. And as long as this world is evolving and we're growing and we're developing and new things are being exposed, because every day he's waking up those gifts and those talents that he's placed on the inside of us, which give us new inventions. It gives us new innovations. It gives us new things that's coming forth. And this world is going to continue to evolve. So you will never get to the point to where you know it all. That's what I tell people. You will forever be a student. You better learn how to be teachable and learn how to move in love if you want to be a leader. And I tell these leaders, you're developing leaders. So you have to move in love and understand that one day their two are going to branch out. Because guess what? Just as you birthed them and brought them forth and helped bring them forth, what are they supposed to do? Do the same thing that you did for them. And they're supposed to bring up the next generation behind them, and then they have to release them. But if you do what you're supposed to do, and if you did what you were supposed to have done, then they will never depart. Just like a child, just like a child, you teach them what they're supposed to learn, and then you let them go off. When they get 18, they have to go off on their own journey so that they can experience life and they can do what they have been called to do on this earth. So leaders, let them go. They're not going anywhere. If you've taught them right, if you've instilled in them, if you truly input the right things in them, the circle will never be broken. It can only be stronger, because then you got loops coming out from the circle. You know how you got your key ring, and then you got the different loops on your key ring. Or either I tell people, I tell them, look at your charm bracelet. See how you got your charms hanging around? And then once you get your little layers of charms, you can hook charms onto the charms. I say that's what it's like. That's what it's like when you are a leader. Because if you have a circle, if there's a circle of people and you got those chains, it can be such a pretty sight, and it can be so powerful. People don't understand how beautiful that can be. It could be like a ripple. You know how you throw a rock out in the pond,
Yeah.
and that ripple, it just flows out. That's how it should be. That's how leadership. That's how a leadership should look. It
That's
should look like a ripple. It should look like it, because it just flow, never ending, never ending. But we don't want to let our people go. We don't want to let them grow up. We don't want to let them be leaders. I'm so glad that you did not sit on that book, because there are so many people out here that are going into relationships and that are in relationships, and they some of them not in the church, so they don't have people to pray over them and to minister to them. So they have an opportunity to pick up something and get some knowledge, and to get some education, and to get something that they can put into practice. So I thank you for being obedient um, with this book, and sharing. Do you have your book with you so you can show people?
You know what? You would have thought I would have sat it next to me, right? Look, if I could run off camera really quick, I could grab one.
You can. That's fine. She's gonna grab a book really quick, because I like for people to actually see the book. So she's grabbing her book.
So, can you see it?
Yes.
So, yes, this is the book. It's actually sold on Amazon. So, if you search Wedded Bliss, the 5-Year Foundation, it will come up. And you'll see, so you can see the back and front.
So how can individuals reach out to you? How can they follow you and support the things that you're doing?
So on social media, on Instagram, you can do at Jeniece_Drake. And you can email me at rise, RISE, at JenieceDrake.com. And my website, so I have two websites. If you're looking to connect with me on the travel side, you can reach us at www.newwavetravel.com. That's NUWAVE travel.com. Or you can connect to me at www.jeniecedrake.com.
Wow. So I definitely want to thank you for stopping by and sharing with us on today. You have definitely shared some nuggets with us that can definitely help us on this journey we call life. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share. Is there anything that you would like to leave to encourage the people on today on this terrific Tuesday?
Listen, as always, I tell everybody, it doesn't matter what your current situation looks like. You are important. You are loved. And if nobody else tells you, you're loved by me. You were put here for a purpose. And even now, I pray that you fulfill that purpose. Everything that you're going through qualifies you for your success. Own your life, own your experience, and thrive.
Amen. Amen. I definitely want to thank you for stopping by. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Up Close and Personal with Angela. You have heard from Jeniece Drake. I want you guys to go over and support her. Please, 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 with her travel agency. And if you need information about marriage, if you're single, looking to get married, and if you're married and maybe going through some issues, please pick up her book, Wedded Bliss, over on Amazon. We're going to share the information in the comment section. So please make sure that you go by and support her. I want to thank her for stopping by on today. Like always, guys, I love you guys, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. If you can, join me back here tonight around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be live with another amazing individual sharing just what she's doing around this world. So thank you guys. Be blessed.